I mean, like, I know it was questionable the last time we tried it, but what about this time, though? Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU, here for another Legacy video, and today Edison has asked me to play another Windbrisk Heights deck. I got an email with a whole bunch of ideas that basically said, put some of these together in a deck and try to make it somewhat balanced and competitive. So the original idea was to do some amount of very, very expensive things. Things like Chancellor of the Annex or Chancellor of the Rage that can give you a little boost in your opening hand, or maybe things like Ameria's Call that you're normally playing as a land, but could have the upside of pooping two 4/4 angels into play. But the initial email I got just had too many ideas. There was the idea of using Pinnacle Emissary and Corey Steelcutter to make a bunch of tokens to get this active. There was the idea of having an artifact base with Memnite and Koldotha Rebirth. There was another idea of Ocelot Pride and Guide of Souls and Ajani and Halia and Leyline of Hope. And then there was also fast mana in there. And there was just a little bit too much going on all at the same time, so I had to rein this in a little bit. And after reining it in, here is where we end up. The deck needs a certain density of creatures in order to realistically activate Windbrisk Heights, but I wasn't even told to make this a 4x Windbrisk Heights deck, so we're going to play like 2 or 3 of them instead. That was clear from the beginning. As an ETB tapped land, this is really, really rough alongside a lot of the things that you might want to put in a deck that is playing Chancellor of the Annex. Chancellor of the Annex is something that is very, very good at getting you to the first broken thing that you can do. And oftentimes, that means Ancient Tomb, power out a 3 or 4 drop quickly. Drag these Witch Enchanters over here as well. So this deck has an angle where it can make a large number of creatures, but it also has an angle where we just play a Hate Bear and then transition into a slower game. We're not going to be the best at turbo activating Windbrisk Heights, and I think Windbrisk Heights is going to serve as the plan B for when things get stalled out, rather than plan A, like we did when we put together a Windbrisk Heights aggro deck. That was very, very low to the ground. I wanted to fit more of these ideas into the deck, but slots are really tight. Like, you can go a red-white tokens angle, but if you do that, you're probably just playing worse Boros energy. You're playing Boros energy where you have an ETB tapped land. The other thing I'm concerned with is that we don't necessarily goldfish fast enough versus combo if we just try to go a red-white artifact token style deck. And honestly, I was also worried about the mana. The upside of shifting this into mono white is that I get to play a bunch of basic planes, and I was worried about trying to keep some fast mana like Chrome Mox in the deck while also doing a at least 2, maybe 3 color artifact deck. And we've been seeing a lot of Storm in recent videos, and having some main deck things like Archon of Emeria seems reasonable. I do still have a decent amount of bangers to get off of Windbrisk Heights. We certainly have the overcosted Chancellor of the Annex, but we're totally happy hitting like a Seasoned Dungeoneer, a One Ring, or a Solitude as well. And even the miss case of getting a 3 mana creature is fine. And Ameria's Call, absolute rockstar off of a Windbrisk Heights. As far as the sideboard goes, about the spiciest thing that I'm doing here is Touch the Spirit Realm. So when this enters, you get to exile an artifact or creature until this leaves. This is my show and tell tech. I think we just need a little something to help out with that matchup. And like with this, we'll have Touch the Spirit Realm and Solitude that are potentially pretty solid coming in off of a show and tell, with Archon of Emeria maybe doing something interesting there as well. So I have played 2 Windbrisk Heights decks on the channel in the past month to mid results. One of them was a 2-3, one of them was a 3-2. This is a deck that is less all in on just trying to be a Windbrisk Heights deck, and a deck that just has Windbrisk Heights as a thing that it can do. We'll see how this ends up faring. It's possible I should lean in more to Windbrisk Heights with more creatures, but it feels like this sort of stuff is pretty important. So we'll see how it shakes out. And folks, should you need some Magic the Gathering cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, toamagic.com, and use promo code ThrabenU to save yourself a little bit on your order when you do. I think I might need to put in one more order before Vegas. I have started doing some more testing of my Tanuk EDH deck, and I think I've got some changes to make. With that being said, let's battle. This is a rather awkward opening hand. I like that we have Chancellor. It goes under Chrome Mox. I have a City of Traders, but I don't have like a 3-mana thing to do. If I hit another regular old land, I go into the One Ring relatively well, and I'm okay with how the game is trending. I didn't look specifically, but these sorts of decks tend to be about 50% mana, so I'm just hoping that things end up going well here. Never didn't have it. I think I will just go ahead and put this into play now and drop the Ocelot Pride. Urza Saga goes to 2. Ooh, maybe lands? Grafdigger's Cage. Can clear this Chancellor trigger. Looks like my opponent is just going to pay for it. All right. The second Chancellor, little bit worse than the first one. Although honestly, having multiple Solitudes might not be the worst if we are gearing up for a 2020 that wants to kill me in a single hit. Let's draw. All right. The One Ring Archon of Emeria is a bit of a non-bow. Like, the One Ring makes me want to vomit spells all over the place, and Archon limits me to the number of spells that I play each turn. This might just be strong enough that that's not actually problematic. You know what? I'm not sweating my One Ring anymore, all of a sudden, for some reason. Opponent has green mana now, and plays a Malevolent Rumble. Probably looking at either Yavimaya or Maze of Ith. Yavimaya is the answer. Got it. So I'm going to lose 1 every turn to the One Ring. I'm going to gain that right back with Ocelot Pride. That's not actually problematic. And then with Ocelot Pride, opponent goes to 17. I think I still play Archon of Emeria, despite the fact that that will shut off double Solitude lines. The City of Traders is not the best for accumulating the city's blessing with Ocelot Pride. That is a tapped Dark Depths. My opponent will still be able to do the thing. That's what Solitude is for. Witch Enchanter, kind of interesting if this game goes a little longer. Turn them sideways. So this will be my opponent making their 2020. They have no mana showing. What just happened? They have kept the wrong thing. So the way that's supposed to go is you keep the one that does not have the ice counters, and instead they kept their original Dark Depths. They've given me question marks in chat. I'm going to explain that. They had a good laugh about it. All right, so now they get what they did. I will play a Witch Enchanter and take out this Pithing Needle so that my One Ring becomes active again. I'll totally lose a land to play a Guide of Souls. We do go up to the cities. Fuck. Fuck. Got excited. All right, well, was the extra land drop in play at the same time as City of Traders putting me over the edge of City's Blessing? If so, I would have done that anyway. All right, Yavimaya enters tapped. Life from the Loam is fine. The opponent can get their Thespian stage back, but not in time to recover from all of this. GG's. Note, in terms of Windbrisk Heights count, totally ready for that card at this stage of the game. So how much do I want for Merit Lage versus Urza Saga versus Graveyard? I don't know that I'm overly excited about Leyline of the Void here. Touch the Spirit Realm is kind of cool in that it is a very strong thing to do versus a Merit Lage at instant speed. How much does this matter here? It's a speed bump. It's relevant. I don't know that that is necessary. I can do 3 more removal spells, some number of swords, and touch the Spirit Realm. And probably call that good. Touch the Spirit Realm can do something like answer a Pithing Needle that Swords doesn't. Swords is easier to hold up. Cards are different. I don't know how much I care about getting Pithing Needled. If my opponent shuts off the one ring, it's annoying. I don't know that I need to max out on answers to Pithing Needle when I have 4 Witch Enchanters in my deck already. This is 2 lands. This is Guide of Souls and no ability to get up to casting these cards. I don't think I'm excited about this. Okay, this looks better. So, Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox, imprint some card, play Anointed Peacekeeper on 1, and a Seasoned Dungeoneer on 2. That is fine. I actually probably put Amaria's all under. I think it's more likely that I would cast a Witch Enchanter from hand. Mox Diamond. This gives my Ancient Tomb another mode that does not hurt me, which is nice. An opponent ends up taking Dark Depths from that. Ooh. Archon is interesting. One of these do I do first? I think they're pretty similar. I'm not gonna think about it too much here. The nice thing about playing Archon is that if my opponent stumbles, I can potentially Witch Enchanter Mox Diamond. I don't know that they are going to stumble. Tabernacle. Gross. Sure. Yavimaya, very, very good right now. Attack with Eldrazi Spawn? No attack. Alright, I will pay with Chrome Mox here. Basic is a good pickup. I will Anointed Peacekeeper here. We're getting a... It's not a crop rotation. It's something that costs 2 mana. Once upon a time. It's a Disruptor Flute. Sure. Is this just going to name something like Swords? What is the... Okay, that's reasonable. Oh no, opponent's hand does not do anything as of right now. Thespian Stage. Could also just name Skateboard, so haste is not a thing on this. So my opponent plays Dark Depths, it enters tapped. The following turn, if my opponent plays Thespian Stage, it enters taps. Alright, what if Thespian Stage enters this turn? It's my opponent's top card. So on the following turn, they go 1, 2, 3. This enters tapped. They can't do it immediately. Alright. I will name Thespian Stage. I've already made my land drop. I'm only getting in for 2 here. That is what it is. Alright, there's the Dark Depths tapped. We know they still have a Yavimaya, which I just crossed out, so that's floating there. Fine. I think doing these off the basic planes and leaving Ancient Tomb as something that is potentially online. Windbrisk Heights. Hello. Guess it's a little tough for me to get the next creature in play. I'll take another Archon as just literally a flying body if we get to that point. I will pass here. Next turn, if I top deck a land, I can play the next creature. I can have Windbrisk the following turn after that. Ooh, there's Thespian Stage. So this will cost my opponent 4 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4. They can do this. They can't do that and give it haste with Skateboard. I can kill Mox Diamond, sacrificing my Archon of Amaria to keep them from doing this another turn. I can also, in theory, just use the Archon to block. Okay, keeping that in mind, let's pay for both of these for another turn. I was never worried. I've missed a little value here. I clicked when I didn't want to click. I'm going to miss Explore trigger. This is a Cleric. I need to do this first. Yeah. Play Seasoned Dungeoneer. This gives me a basic plains. I've already made my land drop. This is my turn. 1, 2, 3, 4 by tapping the Dark Depths itself. So my opponent can do this thing. I will pay for all of my friends. 1, 2, 3. Save the ability to do this. Seems fine. Can I do this off of... Let's use the Chrome Mox. It's really far away. I think I can go ahead and do this off of this for green as well. I will forge up here. Do not cast Chrome Mox. Send in Seasoned Dungeoneer trigger on Seasoned Dungeoneer itself. Getting a plains to hand. So if last turn I successfully explore and put a +1/+1 counter on this card, I don't actually have to Swords to Plowshares here. I can just kill my opponent. Unfortunately, if my opponent blocks this, they take 7, which means that I am doing this thing, unfortunately. And now Archon of Emeria keeps me from activating Windbrisk Heights, which is a bit of a non-bo. Hopefully that is not too relevant. Like, my opponent now has a window to wasteland this, for example. Malevolent Rumble seems good. That's my opponent's one spell. Life from the Loam nonsense is coming. There is an Ancient Tomb. Skateboard is here. I respect it. Yes, that is unfortunately happening. I will pay for all of my friends. Do I do Ancient Tomb? I don't think I need to. I think I can leave that flexibility. Then I will trap my opponent. Bring them to 13. Don't need the land there. Send in with everybody. Seasoned Dungeoneer trigger. Ocelot Pride into graveyard. Probably. I don't know that that has any impact on the game. Opponent will just gain a little bit of life here. Going to 5. I will continue to drop lands and pass the turn. It seems likely to me that next turn kills my opponent. Like, this is lethal alone. These two connecting is lethal. Alright, we get that one. Our opponent had a, Magic Online whoopsie with Thespian Stage. That's gonna happen. I think I had a little bit of room to play tighter there and maybe not give my opponent some time to recover, though. GG. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. All right. Opening hand is fine. We can do Ocelot Pride, Guide of Soul stuff, or if I think we're playing against a combo deck, Archon of Emeria is the thing that I can do on it. Ocelot Pride and Guide of Souls or Archon. I think Archon. Playing Archon before my 1-drop, 2-drop is rough, though. Alright, let's 1-drop, 2-drop. I die on turn 2 to a combo deck. Let the record show that I at least thought about it. Ocelot Pride. Yep, that's fine. Like, I still have an Ocelot Pride. Fatal Push is something I think I'm not overly concerned about. Like, Orcish Bowmasters doing bad things to the One Ring would make me sad. Ooh, a second Fatal Push. What are you playing? I guess I could go look. Nick Fit? 2 actual factual basic lands of an appropriate boomer nostalgia art. Non-fetched basic lands as well. Alright, let's see what's going on over there. Anointed Peacekeeper. Okay. That's reasonable. I will do this. I will potentially just lose the One Ring to Thoughtseize this turn, and, like, that is what it is. But I think Anointed... Ooh. Oh, I guess you could filter into Cabal Therapy. In my brain, this entered tapped. Yeah, I messed that up. That was supposed to be Thoughtseize. Yeah, I messed that up. That was very bad. I'm so used to this entering off of white of the Reliquary. Well, we will just keep that nice and expensive. Ooh. Reanimate's actually not all that bad right now. My opponent could just cast that even through the tax. So we'll double down here and just continue to bash in. The Ocelot Pride and Guide of Souls that are currently in the graveyard don't... Oh, that's so inconvenient. Okay, cool. That's lucky on my end. Might be GAC, actually, seeing Stitcher's Supplier. Well, slightly inconvenient here, as this can allow my opponent to mill more if they want. And they want. So let's see how this goes. Nothing great to yard. I will just play this as a tapped land. Doing that lets me hardcast a Solitude, and I maybe don't want to leave an MDFC in my hand where it can be taken by Flashback Cabal Therapy in a weird spot. I think I threaded this game poorly, and I'm going to win despite my play, not because of my play. We've got a Bayou. Passing the turn. Third verse, same as the first. White. Alright, we were done here. Alright, variance swung in our favor that time. We got a little lucky with the Stitcher Supplier miss. GG. So I have a lot of exile-based removal that I can do, and I also have Leyline of the Void. So this now becomes, what am I not playing? I think I want Leyline, but I also want Swords to Plowshares. So let's see if I can make this work. Like, am I just the deck that plays multiple spells here? I might just be the deck that plays multiple spells. If I board that out, I have 7 exile-based removal spells. I try to lean on the One Ring for controlling elements. This still has 23 creatures? Oh, I guess it's really 19, and then Witch Enchanter is an honorable mention. Alright, that's fine. This feels like a medium opening hand. It also does not have a leyline. This one does have a leyline. I am on board with this. Windbrisk Heights is incredibly awkward here in terms of making that work. I think accordingly I am getting rid of Windbrisk Heights. Like, the Ocelot Pride would self-scale towards doing it, but I feel like I give up something pretty important. Moon Shadow. This is put into graveyard, so that's a 1/1 menace until Leyline is gone. That is fine. I think I am now getting rid of Ocelot Pride, now that I've drawn the second Anointed Peacekeeper. I don't want to leave 2 of these in my hand at the same time for Cabal Therapy purposes. Really, really, really not where I thought this was going. Okay. I don't want to get wastelanded right now until I deploy this second Anointed Peacekeeper. I was correct on the Hogak call, by the way. Looked like Cradle Control for a little while in the early game. The call that this was Nick Fit, rather off. Opponent is chilling and attacking with a menace creature that I cannot block. I will go to 19. They did not use mana on Malevolent Rumble, so there might be an Orcish Bowmasters coming in right here, or they might Boseiju the Leyline. They are. Yes. Get a basic Plains. So now I probably just name Malevolent Rumble and make that harder to cast. I am not interested in getting rid of City of Traders. My opponent can wasteland that, and then I can drop the Ancient Tomb. This Talon Gates is really annoying versus my Anointed Peacekeeper plan. Like, my opponent can still Talon Gates, phase out Anointed Peacekeeper, and cast their Malevolent Rumble. Sure. Getting a Life from the Loam. Opponent has chosen a Moon Shadow. I think I'm just taking a Moon Shadow out of play to try to keep Hogak out of play. And then opponent can drop a new Moon Shadow by filtering through Talon Gates. Very, very good game for Talon Gates here. Windbrisk Heights, very awkward right now. If I play it, I not only lose City of Traders, but I give my opponent a new Wasteland target. A little worried that my opponent is going to stabilize this game. So, we do see the Dredge, which will grow Moon Shadow. They're going to Wasteland me. That does grow their Moon Shadow. New Wasteland coming. Being used to cast something? Or were they just going to, like, Wasteland themselves? Alright. They don't get in there. I think if I attack, my opponent doesn't block. This is about to be able to block these profitably. So in we go. Yep, alright. My call is correct. Here's my Wasteland bait. Dungeoneer is potentially very good to finish off this game. I think I will go with that under here. So we have Life from the Loam again. A fetch land, well, maybe not that fetch land, but a fetch land could potentially represent Dryad Arbor, so that's a thing. And now Moonshadow can be a 4/4 at will. My attack this turn probably does not actually make sense. I can maybe put my opponent in an awkward spot where they have to wasteland the Windbrisk Heights and maybe don't get as impressive of a turn accordingly. Untapped mana. Go Master? Sholdred's Edict. I don't know. It's not this. That I feel confident in. I think there's a good chance this game stalls. I'm going to keep Guide of Souls. Makes me a little worse at just trying to shove creatures into my opponent and hoping that they die. But I think the flying is useful. We've got Wasteland for days. Alright, yep. My basic is not going to do it here. I am falling behind. I still very much have a life total advantage, but this game is going to flip-flop from me being at 19 to me being dead in 2 combat steps at some point. Not yet. This is the downside of putting a bunch of fast mana in your deck. This sort of stuff does happen sometimes. Alright. It is officially Hogak O'Clock at any point where my opponent wants it to be Hogak O'Clock, which is presumably right now. I don't think I ended up with copies of Karakas in this deck, now that I'm thinking about my mana base. If that is the case, that is almost certainly a mistake. That looks like it does it. This is a cleric. This is also a cleric. So there's Seasoned Dungeoneer, trigger, get a basic out of my deck, do this, go to combat, send in with a cleric, trigger that on Anointed Peacekeeper. There needs to be a removal spell right now. 4, 5, 6, 7. Is Amaria 8? Amaria is 7? Where'd my window go? Okay, that is my opponent conceding there. Yeah, so next turn I Ancient Tomb 4, 6, 7, cast Amaria's Call as well if my opponent somehow threaded this turn. Alright, GG's. I think there's some negative synergy in the deck building here that I did not catch in my first draft. Quick check, did we have Karakas? I do have Karakas. I didn't miss that at least. GG. Alright, not an overly exciting hand, but absolutely a solid one. Throw Amaria's Call under here. I will take the 2 to hopefully make another land drop here. Boy, there's a lot of ways to play that. I think I'm just going to name Swords. I think Swords is fine. I think Wasteland is fine. Like, if I get Wastelanded, my deck is like half mana. Any land is going to get me to the One Ring the following turn. I think I am okay with that overall. And I just keep this initial pressure up. Then my opponent probably taps out for Tamiyo and has had like one look at something that counters the One Ring. Windbrisk Heights is medium right now. Not overly excited about it. Well, shit. I mean, that is what it is. That was an incredibly good days. At least it wasn't followed up with a Wasteland as well. That would be rough. I will send in, like so. Don't daze me again. One Ring. Don't do it. It's consign instead. That was always a risk. I think I pass here. The Windbrisk Heights is awkward right now. Maybe this fully doesn't belong in a deck that has City of Traders. Ugh, Chancellor. Okay. Things are going bad fast, folks. My opponent's life total is going down, but they are about to have Felia. And they haven't cast a Ponder yet, so they could even do something like Ponder, attempt to find Riddler, and then do Riddler Felia stuff. At which point they are probably just stable. Alright, am I losing Chrome Mox? Are you just blinking Peacekeeper out of the way? Okay. This is a 2/2 right now? This is a 3/3? Are you going to bounce your Felia? No, you're going to let your Felia die. You have another Felia? That's going to happen sometimes. Send in. Do you want a Tameo bounce block? Nope. Alright, I'm going to be real. I don't understand what my opponent is doing. Okay, there was another Felia. Alright, so now we are up to the full 3-mana swords. And my opponent can start going after Chrome Mox or whatever. Life is very bad. I think I'm going to imprint a Chancellor. Here is a Guide of Souls. Thanks, I hate it. Now my opponent can blank Chrome Mox again if they would like. It might just be better to reset their Teferi's loyalty, though. Which they do. Down to 17. Sure. Oh, deck. I think at this point I'm going to assume that I am dead to all of this nonsense. We bottomed out there. GG. What is my angle on this game? I can keep Chancellor as a speed bump. It kind of feels like it's just better to play 4x Swords to Plowshares, though, and not let Tameo, Riddler, Felia get off the ground. And I may be scared enough of all of those cards that I go up to Solitude as well. Yeah, this is solid. So this is Chrome Mox, imprint a Witch Enchanter, basic planes, Ocelot Pride ×2. So a single removal spell does not stop the snowballing that I would like to do here. Alright. Force of Will plus removal spell can do that, though. So is there a swords? We'll maybe find out in a second. Yeah? Alright, cool. Because of Felia, I think I'm not playing the second Chrome Mox. This is dazable. If it gets dazed, my opponent is returning a land to their hand. It's Force of Will. That is 2 Force of Wills very early in the game. That sounds bad, but a Quantum Riddler deck can come back from that relatively easily. Ooh, going for the Wasteland. They do have the swords now. Windbrisk Heights, not exactly online, but if it gets online, it does win now. In for 1. 16. And opponent just makes a land drop and passes. I'll attack a cat token into a Felia. Alright, it's happening. Like, the loss of this cat token is not very bad right now. Like, Felia blinking would do that anyway. I will play out an Archon. I think my opponent is favored here. Crash my carpet, Mr. Felia comes in. Blinks out my Archon. I mean, that's fine. They did not get any value, and I did not lose any value there. Okay, cool. Guide of Souls is fine. I don't think I'm attacking. I think I don't want my opponent getting easy Felia value. Like, if they want to attack and blink out my Archon, that's fine. Alright. It's not great for me. Lose Chrome Mox to this interaction. Go to 17. This is rough. A bunch of my top decks, like, I just don't have mana for. Here's Guide of Souls number 2. Could be another Felia. Let's hope that it isn't. Alright, opponent does take 1. 13. Oh no. Hate that. That's very strong. I'm just taking 2 here, and the Oculus is going to start to spiral. This is also a 5/5 flyer, so just getting in with Guide of Souls isn't fantastic. We legitimately might be banking on Windbrisk Heights. Or a win. Thank you, Chrome Mox. Very cool. I do put 4 Chrome Mox in my deck so that I can draw 3 of them in a game. That's why they're there. So everybody is coming to party. And I think I'm just eating all of this damage. I don't think I want to double block the manifested token or anything. Yikes. Maria's Call. I am dead. The streak is broken. We started out pretty well. Let's see if we can get a couple more wins on the board and maybe activate Windbrisk Heights. My first play here is on turn 3. I think I don't like this on 7. I might keep something like that on 6. Alright, Chrome Mox, imprint Amaria's Call. Play Ancient Tomb, Archon. Alright. I don't love this if we are playing against a fair deck. If we're playing against an unfair deck, or maybe a blue fetch land deck, it's possible that this Archon buys enough time to actually just get Windbrisk Heights online. Did not catch a break. This is now largely a weak hand where I have mulliganed and gone down a card to Chrome Mox. I guess the next thing that I am looking for is... Yikes. The One Ring was going to be what I was going to say. Windbrisk Heights. Alright, Chancellor goes under there. That is a big deal, honestly. I'd like to rip an untapped land to get Anointed Peacekeeper in there next. Shit! Alright. Would have gotten the untapped land. In with Guide of Souls. Don't have the energy to do its thing. We don't know exactly what flavor of probably tempo we are playing against. Just by the numbers, it's probably Dimir. We'll maybe find out now. Basic Island and Ponder. That is a dead draw for right now. My opponent has plenty of time here to do crimes. I guess the good news is that I could answer something like a Murktide Regent that my opponent drops. The Guide of Souls attack starts to be a little weird from here, because Felia is a thing that exists, and this is a white fetch land. I think I'm playing Anointed Peacekeeper, but it's possible that I attack, see if Felia happens. If Felia happens, take the 2-for-1. There's a lot to think about here because Daze is also a thing. Yeah, there's Daze. Try to change phases. Okay, cool. In with Solitude. Or, sorry, in with Guide of Souls. Opponent to 15. I feel like my position is very bad. Alright. Now I can at least cast a Solitude if my opponent flashes in a relevant creature. Yeah. Opponent to 14. And then 13 for a fetch. Is black mana or a Sheoldred's Edict? Yep, that is fine. I'm not willing to, like, cast Solitude with no target there. I think I need to be able to answer the Barrow-Goyf, Nether-Goyf, Tameo, whatever that comes next. Delta and pass. I think I am not playing Solitude. Like, I simply do not believe that Solitude goes all the way here. So I don't like playing it out and missing out on the value that it represents. Let's see what opponent's got going on. It's a Surveil. Fatal Push is online now. Archon in play. Fatal Push, Fatal Push. Fatal Push with Yargle? Neat. There's another land drop. Nothing like Kaito coming down. Opponent does have Stifle, by the way. Well, maybe I will get to the point where we will just cast a Chancellor of the Annex. Fatal Push that, nerd. Alright, there's an Orcish Bowmasters. You've got it. I will eat that ping. And when my opponent attacks with this, I will flash in Solitude and attempt to take the whole thing out. I'm fine giving my opponent a dazed target. I have other very big dumb things that I can cast later that are higher impact than the Solitude, if I'm being honest. I will go to 13. Opponent can Surveil again. Note that the reason why I want to attempt to remove Bowmasters and the Orc Army token at the same time is that Kaito is a thing that exists, and it's very, very reasonable that my opponent could be playing one. Or more than one. Well, they cast a Bowmasters already. Maybe my 1/1 lives. It's cool if it does. Yeah. Yeah. They've got to have something in hand, right? Means that the One Ring as a top deck is pretty bad now. I'm at 9. Opponent's just got another land drop. Ah, yes. The One Ring. Which I'm going to cast to save 2 life in combat. And probably not draw cards with. So there's my protection from everything. If I draw, this gets 2 bigger, which seems like a big deal. That is a Murktide Regent. Alright. If Solitude is the top card of my library, I remove this and stall the board. If I draw 2 cards if I draw a card trying to get deeper for Solitude, I grow this to a 4, and then Solitude no longer blocks that. I think I'm okay not drawing the cards here. I am losing this game most of the time, though. And I think I just accept that. That is a Witch Enchanter. Alright, I'm currently dead to the Murktide Regent, so I'll draw cards. It's now worse for me to do so. That is not an answer to Murktide Regent. I am dead. GG. We just kind of bottomed out there. Like, this is the cost of putting things like Chancellor of the Annex in your deck. They're a very nice speed bump versus combo decks, and then in fair matchups, It's the first thing that gets yeeted from your deck list. In many cases, not every case. So these go here, and then I can think about a little more exile-based removal beyond just that. I don't hate going down some number of copies of the One Ring because Orcish Bowmasters is a thing. Like, I could just simply not and play a largely worse version of my deck that really maxes out on removal. We'll play one Chancellor for good luck. No, honestly, that's probably just worse than one copy of the One Ring. I have a mediocre opening hand that has me start the game at 14 life in all likelihood. I don't know that I mulligan it. Like, it has threats, it has removal, it has speed bumps. Like, there's things to like about this hand. If the Ocelot Pride gains me some life and helps to offset my initial losses here, this is great. But the downside of keeping something like this is that my second Witch Enchanter could just get Thought Seized, and the game often ends on the spot. Force of Will. You've got it. All right, not Wasteland. That's nice. Yeah. And exactly what I was afraid of did indeed happen. Hopefully we, just kind of draw running lands here. Nope. That's fine. That, on the other hand, is very much not fine. So, realistically speaking, I have probably lost this game. And it becomes a matter of how long do I want to attempt to draw out of this for. I will take a couple of draw steps. But, once my opponent drops a Murktide Region or something and the Solitude doesn't resolve, I think the game's over. Bowmasters is fine. I am not going to Solitude that. And I would, in fact, prefer not to even Solitude on my opponent's turn until I can play Solitude around days. Opponent drops a Scalding Tarn. I get cracked for 2. Alright, that's a start. Pass back. I maybe at this point just, sadly remove Bowmasters. I have been trying to wait for something like a Barrogoyf or whatever to come down. With Ancient Tomb being the land that I drew, though, I might just need to not take as much chip damage. And this does open up the One Ring later. There are Stifle effects in my opponent's deck, though, so, it's possible that this Solitude does nothing. That is not the case this time, though. I am down to 13. There's a Delver. Oh! Wow, this is bad. I suspect that no matter what card I cast here, it gets answered. Daze is a thing, Force is a thing, Fatal Push is a thing, Stifle effects on triggers are a thing. I have not presented my opponent with enough things that matter for them to expend their resources. And I don't think it's worth taking 2 to Ancient Tomb to blink out Orc Army token uncounterably versus just trying to shove something relevant. Alright, it is in play. That's step 1. Do we get pushed? We get pushed. My opponent said no to Bowmasters, presumably because they want to flip the Delver. They're going to try to guarantee that flip. Alright, what are you flipping to, Delver? To Ponder. Sure. So I am at 4. Having to tap the Ancient Tomb here is a downer. So I will outright cast Touch the Spirit Realm in the hopes of removing Delver, taking 1, and then hitting an untapped, non-damaging land next turn to stall the board versus this card. But my opponent has 3 cards in hand. I'm dead to so many different things here. Maybe not yet. Alright, I'm at 1 from this attack. These Swords to Plowshares on Orc Army token. That's where we're at. Alright, even if I remove 1, I am now dead to the other one. GG's. I believe we are now breaking even. We got 2 2-0s and then 2 0-2s. Let's see if we can finish positive here. GG. Alright, what does this opening hand do? Plains, Ocelot Pride. Turn 2, Witch Enchanter, Chrome Mox, Imprint, Solitude, Anointed Peacekeeper, maybe turn 3, One Ring. That seems fine. Have a Misty Rainforest. What do you think? Show and Tell? Ancient Tomb. That probably changes the equation here. I probably now imprint my Solitude and shove Anointed Peacekeeper. Naming Show and Tell after we see Show and Tell. You ready? You ready? Pitching Brainstorm. Understood. Flooded Strand. Less likely to be Show and Tell. I'm fucking wrong. It is Show and Tell. It is just spicy Show and Tell. Alright. Understood. Okay, is this a target? You and target opponent. So if I cast the One Ring, I just blank this for a turn. In. So there's the One Ring. Get protection. Draw a card. Witch Enchanter is weird. I don't know that I Chrome Mox that yet to play Ocelot Pride out immediately. I don't know that I need to make that decision right now. So no legal target for the trigger. So how much into the Keen Duelist stuff is my opponent? Like, are there Show and Tells? Are there Bowmasters? No fear. No fear of Bowmasters. Archon. Archon's cool. So I think that I am into playing an Ocelot Pride. I'm already at the Magic Emrakul number. I think I'm already... I don't want to play this card. I'm acting kind of like a crazy person here. But, like, I can just die to, like, Brainstorm or Limb Duel's Vault or anything that puts stuff on top of my opponent's library already. Okay, yep. Prevail Land. Card on top. Okay, cool. Get my protection. Draw. Archon came back. Hopefully I can spin my wheels until I find a Solitude and remove Keen Duelist. Shit, it is Show and Tell as well. Alright. Witch Enchanter for Omniscience? I like that. I can destroy Blightsteel Colossus. Don't worry, everyone. I did it. Alright. Is fine. Come on, Solitude, baby. Couple looks at Solitude. Fuck. Alright. Anointed Peacekeeper. I will name the shit out of that Brainstorm. However, it looks pretty castable to me. I will now play Archon of Emeria. Pass turn. I don't think I have a 16 drop in my deck. Yeah. Keen Duelist. Show and Tell versus my Witch Enchanter. Sure. So I'm not going to die to this immediately. I think I am blocking with Archon and taking 9. Or 8, actually. I think Archon is the thing that I want out of play. And maybe I can aggro my opponent out here. A decent amount of the time I die. One way or another. Chancellor. I'm not even dealing 6, actually. One ring. Solitude is here. I die to 2 damage off of Keen Duelist if I remove Blightsteel Colossus. Can I just block Blightsteel and only take 1, in fact? I would need to put 10 in front of it. I think I'm trying to dodge Keen Duelist killing me. So I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4 for Seasoned Dungeoneer. Trigger. Pick up planes. Deploy planes. Send in. Trigger. Seasoned Dungeoneer. I will put that into my graveyard. I don't need that card. This puts my opponent to 6. Seasoned Dungeoneer being on top is not a kill. So I have 4, 8, 9 in play. I tap Ancient Tomb, I die to my One Ring, so I think this is where I call it. And we see if we live through Keen Duelist. Yes. So my opponent can presumably wiggle this into a spot where they put something on top that always kills me. So I will need a 5-drop or above on board on top of my deck to force a draw. There's also lines where I end up solituding one of my own creatures, but then I think the Blightsteel kills me. Alright, Yu-Gi-Oh! Heart of the Cards. I have a City of Traders on top. Notably, the Seasoned Dungeoneer, if I leave it on top versus Limb Duel's Vault, doesn't quite get there. GG's. Close one. I have some solid tools here. I have been leaning towards pulling Chancellor of the Annex out, but I am now playing against a combo deck where its ability is relevant, but I also need spot removal. I could go a very different direction and pull most of this, and we are just playing initiative this round with awkward Windbrisk Heights. Alright. Awkward initiative it is. And we just rely on the One Ring being a stupid the Magic Gathering card. This is a lot less fine than it looks. Like, this puts an Archon into play and then doesn't do anything. I don't think I like this. Like, I play turn 2 Archon and probably get a Ponder or something for free. I don't think I'm playing consistent Magic there. Alright, turn 1, have 2 mana. Turn 2, have 3 mana. This is pretty awkward. Starting to go to 5 is a little questionable. I will keep this, which I believe is kind of an awkward hand, and hope that a Seasoned Dungeoneer a turn early is fine, or that I draw any number of other reasonable things to do with my mana in the next turn cycle. Slightly harder to do because I have boarded out Ocelot Pride, Guide of Souls. Chancellor under there, pass turn. AB5's fine. Undercity Sewers. Solitude is an okay pickup. We do still have this trigger hanging out, which will hopefully do something. Nope, it is just eating a Chrome Mox, which was perhaps not even a particularly good card. There is a Keen Duelist. I am unsure whether or not I'm going to remove that. I probably do. I think I'm going to attempt to remove this and then shove Seasoned Dungeoneer. I could do something where I attempt to remove it twice, but that comes at the cost of me being able to deploy my own threat. Alright, opponent gets rid of a Show and Tell, and then I will Seasoned Dungeoneer. It's possible I should just view this as remove no matter what. I can't die to a single one of its triggers. The Limdual's Vault is scary. That is getting to the point where that could kill me. I'm going to potentially effectively kill my opponent on the next combat step, though. A Forged Seasoned Dungeoneer with Trap in the same turn is pretty disgusting. Opponent is at 13. I probably hit for 10 of that. Makes Limdual's Vault a lot harder to use. I think I am going for the Forge side. It closes so quickly here. I don't need to play the other one immediately. And for 5-ish damage, Swords to Plowshares can go to Graveyard. That costs 1. Opponent to 7. Drop Seasoned Dungeoneer. Trap. Opponent to 2. Limdual's Vault is now not an effective tool anymore. Opponent does not cast it. My opponent revealed Emrakul. I mean, can't really be mad about it, right? GG. Alright, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I think I blew this one. I don't think this one worked. Initiative of the red-white or mono-white variety is not really a thing in current Legacy. Without looking it up, I would guess that it is less than 1% of the format. And even taking away a lot of Edison's initial ideas and trying to focus it in, it still felt like I was trying to do too much. Let's do a quick compare and contrast, actually. So here is the last Windbrisk Heights deck that I played for the channel. And this deck is very, very creature dense, but doesn't really have much, especially in game 1, in the way of being reasonable versus combo. Like, Chancellor of the Annex is a temporary speed bump, and Thalia is a temporary speed bump. Both of those are able to be passed over pretty easily. Whereas the Archon of Emeria is a hard no versus something like Storm, and Anointed Peacekeeper buys you twice as much time as Thalia does, maybe more in some cases. Just like the literal double taxation on the spell that matters, plus this beats down harder. It may be that if you want to win Brisk Heights, having 8 big payoff targets is enough, and trying to lean in further by having the various like Solitude, Seasoned Dungeoneer, One Rings to hit is just not the way to do it. Current Legacy is really fast. There's Oops running around, there's Storm running around, Show and Tell, any number of highly efficient, tempo-oriented threats ranging from Murktide Regent to Corey Steelcutter. An ETB land in a Wasteland format is a really, really tough ask. And you can try to accelerate some things out via Chrome Mox or Lotus Petal or whatever, and it will do an okay job at trying to compensate for that. But this may be a case where adding bad cards to your deck to make a bad card better is not correct. Like, do you actually want to play something that looks like this versus playing a much more highly optimized, say, Mardu energy deck that gets access to Thoughtseize and Cabal Therapy as much better tools versus combo than something like Thalia or Chancellor of the Annex? I think this one was a failed experiment. Or something like Corey Steelcutter, I don't know how we get enough instants and sorceries in the deck without going into blue for that card to make sense on the prowess angle of it. I don't think I want to go deeper with something like Chancellor of the Forge either. Like, Chancellor of the Annex is a meaningful thing that is on the card, much more meaningful than a 1/1 token, and Chancellor of the Annex was the first thing that I cut in most of my rounds, meaning that my only super big payoff card was Amaria's Call. I don't know what I was supposed to do on this one. And it may just be that trying to make Windbrisk Heights happen is just something you shouldn't be doing, just full stop there. But if you have any thoughts about what I could have done instead, please throw those down in the comments below. I legitimately would like to see them. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day, folks. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. See ya!